Hello, hello, and welcome, my Gemini collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your What Do I Need to Love read. A little change up of my usual thing for full moon to new moon next. For June 2020, we are looking at the full moon this coming Friday when I'm doing it on June 5th, full moon in Sagittarius, to the new moon on Sunday, June 21st, which is also Father's Day and the day right after summer solstice. So it's an interesting interplay of energies, I'll say that right there, that we're going to be pretty much in dark moon right into the height of the light of the year of the sun. It's a bit of a paradox there. Boom. So I think for that reason the guides were like, this time you're going to do the readings a little bit about more, not just what do I need, but what do I need to love within myself, within the world. What do I need to look at? All about helping this world heal holographically by healing your corner of the garden, your energy field, your stuff, right? To contribute to the collective of the healing of all. And that's right, we are doing just a simple 6-card draw, one card from 6 different decks. I'll call them out as I go. Please keep in mind these are general. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And if you like it, like it. And if you would, subscribe and all that jazz. Otherwise, I've been pretty much told these readings are essentially spiritual counseling in card form. So let's do it. The guides and I have been in prayer all day long, all morning long. So they've been preparing me to do the reads today because it's a tricky day. Moon in Scorpio, Tuesday, June 2nd. So let me get you the best that I can get you. Just focus on your breath. Here we go. My collective pantheons of angels, goddesses, gods, masters, and the higher selves of all involved, please. We'll start with one. Carolyn Mace archetype cards for this Gemini collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. What do they need to love? What is the archetype that they need to alchemize from lead to gold most from this full moon in Sagittarius to new moon next in Cancer, June 2020, is the student archetype. All right, the student archetype in its shadow: arrogance in the pursuit of destructive knowledge, unwillingness to translate knowledge into action, which is just, true of anyone along the path who's ever studied. It's like you start, you study, you study, you study. How much do you actually apply, right? Otherwise, it's just knowledge. It's not really wisdom. This is a member of the wisdom family. The light attribute: humility and devotion to knowledge and openness to lifelong learning. So for an air sign, that's pretty key. It's like if you can really say like, okay, then I'm the student, right, for this full moon to new moon next, at least in this zodiacal perspective, sun, moon, rising, Venus sign, Gemini that I've got going on. Let's see if I can actually apply what I am learning, because we are all in a learning curve right now. Cool. Let's ask the angels. The Healing with the Angels Oracle. What are the angels that are offering healing to you? Hence the Healing with the Angels Oracle seems pretty clear statement, fair thing to ask. Breathe. All right, my angels for the Gemini collective, sun, moon, rising, Venus signs. What do they need in order to love? What do they need to love this full moon in Sagittarius, which, by the way, is their opposite sign to the new moon in Cancer? Please, my angels, what's the angel that walks with them? The answered prayer. The answered prayer. Will you look at that? It's the answered prayer, which says to me that, if there is a lesson underway, then your answer is in that lesson, part and partially, because we often have to, you don't have to like it, I don't like it, but sometimes we just have to grow into who we have to be in order for the prayer to be answered. It's like the prayer is sort of orbiting, and there's nothing we can do to speed it up, and there's nothing we can do to slow it down. That's usually the hardest lesson to learn if it's truly a divine timing thing. But then other words, but a humility and a devotion to the knowing, right? And openness to lifelong learning. It's like, I'm going to learn this, and then I will learn what I need to know as I need to learn it. That the universe is going to give you everything that you need to know as you go on this, because that's just how it is. Everything that we need, only that which we need, is given to us, but particularly with an answer to a prayer. Mind your prayers. Mind your prayers. Learn from them. Let's ask the goddesses, shall we? This is a lunar thing. Full moon to new moon next. Breathe. My goddess is sacred, please. One card in clarity for this Gemini collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. A tarot card, please. A piece of the story. What do they need to love? What do they need to look at? What do they need to embrace? What do they need to feel? What do they need to heal to bring more love into their lives and into this world? This full moon in Sagittarius to new moon in Cancer. June 2020. Oh, the card of courage. The strength card, all right? Literally major arcana, the courage and the fortitude. So, you know, that's the thing. There's no recipe for courage. There's no real spell for courage or a prayer. It's just something that comes from endurance. The grace of fortitude, the heart chakra grace, to me has ever been allied greatly with the gateway grace of endurance, right? Emotional endurance, that it just comes from the strength of not subduing the lioness, stealing her spirit for she will die, not letting her run completely wild, ripping you to shreds. The power, the passion, the emotion, all of it, and the side of fries, but to walk with it, right? To not necessarily tame it, but to ride it, to guide it, to channel your courage forward. Because with a prayer being answered, you're just learning lessons as you go. You haven't done anything wrong, right? It's like, no, learning curve. This is taking as long as it's going to take. But I get the emotional endurance part of that for sure. Let's ask the Chuck Spezzano Love Pack. The next two cards are Ascended Master based. We'll see what they got to say. Because this is the tricky one, this deck. This is, I do like a tricky deck. Did I say that right? Yeah. You know what I mean. You're Geminis. I do like a little womp womp thrown in, you know, like press your luck, right? No whammies, womp womp, right? So let's see. Half the deck is the problem. The other half is the luck, the grace, and the healing. Let's see what you get, my gems. Spin the wheel. Breathe. I feel you, my Ascended Masters, please. One card in clarity for the Gemini collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. This full moon in Sagittarius to new moon next in Cancer. What do they need to love? Like, what is the problem that they need to love, that love is the answer? Or what do they need to embrace in the grace or the luck or the healing that's going on for them? What have you got for them, my Ascended Masters? Please, one card in clarity. Fear of commitment. Now that's interesting, because the fear of commitment in terms of what you need to love. Think about that. The fear of commitment needs to be loved. That's a little short-circuity, isn't it? To give that voice, that in with anybody and with anything, that fear of commitment, because there's so much in there to be unpacked and loved and healed. When that is healed, then the fear of commitment does give way to a different kind of freedom. Now look, I'm single and I am very, very glad to be single, but my commitment is pretty clear. God first, then gotta get my needs met, take care of my kitty cats, my business, my friends. You know, it's like it all starts with the divine with me. But it's about the fear of commitment, right? Like what's being offered and what's in the mind here. I know you probably can't see in the card, but there's this imagining of a ball and chain, right, being placed on here. That to open one's heart in a time such as we are in right now, right, to have that courage, that fortitude as an answer to a prayer, to commit to that kind of love. The fear that is there, I can sense it, is just the fear of the unknown for everything else that's going on planet Earth right now. And certainly we are looking at a specific period of time from the 5th of June to the 21st of June, a waning moon. So just to really be aware of that fear of commitment, because that, of course, like they're saying, is going to play out in so many different ways throughout the quantum collective for Geminis in particular, because you could feel conflicted about both wanting it and not wanting it, right? It's like, I feel this way, but I also feel this way, and I want particularly the Gemini moons, right? So let's get you another Ascended Master card. Let's get you a Healing Mantra deck card. I find these very helpful for air signs in general. I mean, I do have Mercury conjunct Venus in Libra, so they're helpful for me, but mantras always have been, as have been prayers. So take a nice deep breath. Let's do this. Yeah, my Ascended Masters, please, one card in clarity, the perfect healing mantra for the Gemini collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. They've got the students, right? The whole collective of y'all are saying the student archetype. The angels are talking about an answered prayer, which definitely has a long-held feeling, something connected to that, with that card of endurance there, that perhaps that's part of it, that this has been a long wait, a long time coming, a lot of emotion, a lot of courage to just even maybe move through. But with that fear of commitment there, understandable with the state of the world and just people in general right now. So what is the perfect healing mantra that you have for the Gemini collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs this full moon in Sag to new moon next in Cancer, June 2020? Inviting ecstasy, one of my favorite cards. I am worthy of all the pleasure my heart desires. Now I think I get the fear of commitment thing a little bit more. It is one of my favorite cards, Inviting Ecstasy. Oh, let me. May I? I'm going to anyway. Inviting Ecstasy. I am worthy of all the pleasure my heart desires. When ecstasy is invited, you feel aligned and ready to receive all the miraculous and joyful gifts of experience the universe is ready to provide you. So it is an inviting, right? It's like right there in the title, Inviting Ecstasy. It's opening the door to it. Ecstasy acts as a cosmic green light. Oh, that was weird. The light went on. A cosmic green light that grants your destiny permission to enter. In many instances, pain can be healed and released once a healthy relationship with pleasure is established. See, that's what I'm shooting for as a Dionysus archetype, that healthy relationship with pleasure. This mantra is ideal for increasing self-worth. Elevating levels of excitement and allowing bigger dreams. Sorry, that light flashed on and blinded me. Here, look at this card so it'll stop blinding me. Thank you very, very, very much. Just try and read with that floating white dot. Great fun, great fun. But really one of my favorite mantras in the whole deck's work it. Work it. Because if that's the answer to your prayer, then that's also saying that the answer is in your breath, because to invite in ecstasy, you just got to breathe. Just little, I wouldn't call it a shortcut, but I would say definitely an essential part. Well, you got to breathe anyway, but because with that card of I'm worthy of all the pleasure my heart desires, with the card of courage and strength, that just kind of all dovetails very nicely. So let's get your last card down. A whisper of love from your higher self, fifth dimensional and above. And I find these will probably be more of the titles for this series, because I like to put a title in with each sign. It depends on how long they are and if they're really the more dominant, but it feels like they're going to be. Higher selves, please, for all involved, for this Gemini collective. There you are, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs, please. What is the whisper of love for your Geminis this full moon in Sagittarius to new moon in Cancer, June 2020, please? Appreciate this moment. Each and every situation has an opportunity to grow and find love. Now, the thing about appreciation is that appreciation, I mean, there's so much written about it, like in terms of like manifestation and, law of attraction and all that stuff. Very Abraham Hicks word, appreciation, if you really want to get down to that particular nitty-gritty aspect of it. But there's something about appreciation that comes, for me at least, I'll keep it in the eye. Keep it in the me, keep it in the eye, is in silence, right? Silence and stillness, the appreciation of that. just allow it to come in rather than to seek out something to appreciate. It's a little bit more yin than yang, perhaps, but it's definitely the more receptive, and she is sort of like holding a shell there, just like appreciating in the stillness of that moment, in the breath. With inviting ecstasy, this really feels like, in terms of the point of the reading, which is what do I need to love? In other words, what do I need to focus on to love? What do I need to love within myself? That if there's really a love of learning here, that there's an answer to a prayer in that, one that your heart is quite literally getting strengthened in order to invite more ecstasy in, because you're worthy of all the pleasure your heart desires, but understanding that there are some fears of commitment in there, but just to appreciate the moment as you go. This is over a waning moon tide. That is something that can be weighted, but to give that fear of commitment a voice without it running the show is just really really key, particularly if it's out of fear of getting hurt or fear of loss, which everybody has. Those fears are completely understandable. And yet at the same time with this mantra, I am worthy of all the pleasure my heart desires. That's where the chains might cut in a little bit. So, spiritual counseling in a 6-card draw. There is your What Do You Need to Love read, my Gemini collective Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. Wishing you the very best and the very blessed of it all for this full moon to new moon next June 2020. But for now, again, if you like, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and comment. Otherwise, hail, farewell, and blessed, blessed be.